American standard, you use like 30 or 60 frames. This is what you see usually on YouTube or other things. Now, regarding this one, so you know already when you watch, for example, movies in cinema, that's usually 24 frames. It's like a movie standard, which you feel like this is engaging, storytelling. Whereas like when you watch things on online, it's either 30 frames or 60 frames per second. 30 frames per second is the standard, that's the lowest you should go. But if you have a lot of motion, movement, you should go for 60 frames per second. Yeah, so most of them, that means you have a much higher quality. You can see more movement, clearer movement, and you have a much higher quality in terms of the image files. So for example, if you have JPEGs, you know when you save a JPEG, it's asking what is the compression. Is it like 1 to 12, right, in Photoshop? 1 is very low, there's lots of pixels in the end. 12 is the file size is very high, but you have crystal clear everything. The same here happens. So if you have 30 frames per second, so maybe you can go only from 1 to 8. Whereas when you go 60 frames per second, you can go up to 12 compression. Yeah, so you have much more information. Now, because you have something with movement, moving things, you should go for 60 frames per second. Otherwise, it's going to be very blurry. Yeah, so it doesn't look good. The file sizes are a bit bigger, but it's no problem. So 60 frames per second, very important. Now, frame size, that's the size of the screen. You know, like mostly what you do is what you see on your screens or on your computer will be 1080 by 1920 by 1080 format. Yeah, 4K is double. 3840 by 2160 is 4K TVs. 8K you get double. Yeah, basically. So you can go for 4K, but I think it's not important 4K because it's again that we need a better screen. Usually, like this small screen is 1980 by 1920 by 1080. That's the small screen, and that's totally enough. Yeah. So the size is very, very important. Also, when you make images, you have perspectives you want to include or other things, pictures. You should always go first to Photoshop and scale it down to this size. Yeah. Unless you want to zoom in or something inside the video, then okay. But you should always put it this way because otherwise, if you don't do it, you need to. The computer will have to work more heavily later compressing within this part. And that takes a long time to edit in the end. So if you did, you know, this is the size you need, then you just edit it on that, scale it down. Next thing is pixel aspect ratio. That's a very important part. Wait, I maybe write first inside. Inside this. So frame rates should be FPS, frame rates per second is 60. Now, resolution is 1920 by 1080 pixel, that's the standard. Next thing is the pixel aspect ratio. Pixel aspect ratio, PAR, should be 1. Why? Because that's a standard from the past. In the past, when we had TVs or maybe digital cameras, the pixels were different. They were like something like, for example, 2 to 1 or maybe 1.5 to 1. So that means even your pixel is maybe straight in digital. The computers digital are always 1 by 1, so 1 by 1. But when it was recorded in the past, like for example analog cameras, they had a different ratio, and likewise also different cameras to save storage space because before we didn't have the storage space in the computing part. So before was like this. Now when you choose the wrong pixel ratio, then your images or your videos become stretched or compressed. That's very bad. So you should always use 1 by 1, the ratio, because you export from the computer or you use video cameras, phones, it's always recording this way these days. Yeah? 1 to 1, because it's digital recording format. So always make sure that it's 1 by 1. If there is any mistake you see, it doesn't compress properly, it somehow stretch the images or the videos, that has to do with the pixel aspect ratio in the first place, mostly. That's the mistake. So pixel ratio should be 1. That's it. The rest of it, yeah, you can keep it as it is. I just use no progressive scan, no field, so I just basically keep it standard in this end. Otherwise, it takes more time to calculate. I can set up later. Okay, the rest of it is some color space, so we don't care about this. This is for the audio. If you use any audio, like voice maybe recording, or maybe some music in the background, but we don't care about this here, because we don't need to listen. But let's say you want to have a video and you want to upload it on the YouTube or somewhere, you want to share it later when you apply somewhere, so you can use like some simple audio file from the YouTube audio library, so you don't have any copyright strikes, yeah? Something you can choose. Now this is the standard 48 kilohertz. This is a above there is too much information which is not necessary. It's usually for surround sound, where there's more channels, yeah? But 48K is the standard one. You can also go lower, but it doesn't matter. 48K means it's two channels, left and right. Each is 24K, 24K left, 24K right. That's why 48K, those are two channels, yeah? Our ears can only hear up to 20K, yeah? That's why it's like 40K is a little bit above that. So certain audio systems, they have much better quality. But anyway, 40K standard audio sample, doesn't matter. Samples, this is like how we display it on the bottom, you will see. Either it's in milliseconds or it's in frames, yeah? We use usually frames. Okay, and the rest of it, it doesn't matter here. You can give it a name, so we can say, okay, urban master plan, that's it. And then we say, okay, there is our sequence now. This is our main sequence, yeah? It doesn't say anything, what is the end and the media, because it says open, and then the frame rate is there. So we should always use this. You can double click, you can have many sequences here, open up as many as you want, and you can connect them, relate them, no problem, yeah? Which is fine, but for us, we just do it simply. Now we have here this part. This is our timeline. On the top we have the video. On the bottom we have the audio. Let me close it. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, maybe close that. Just in case. So on the bottom we have the audio, and on the top we have the video. And you can see I can also move it up and down. There are more channels, so this is right now 3, but the more you add, the more you can have. So this can be like really extensive. Sometimes like when I did some video productions, I had maybe like 16 different layers of different video sequences. Yeah, so it depends on the theme what I have. Same like audios. So this is this case, and there is like other options here. For example, you can turn on and off the layers. You can mute the audio or play it and so on. Yeah. So this is the case. This is the timeline we move left and right, where basically is the slider. And then here we have also what we export, which parts we can export, which part we want to export in this sense. Okay, so this is the case. Now let me put some images inside first. So I just downloaded some videos here by, does this work maybe? Let's go by OMA maybe first here. There you go, I just put drag and drop, or I just can put here and then put it inside, no problem, yeah? So let's do it maybe both ways. I put it there, okay, and then I put it here, so you see I'm moving it, yeah? And you can see already top is, this is different. Existing settings, okay? So you can see this is the top is the video, the bottom is the audio. I can zoom in a bit if I press Alt and then scrolling down. No, sorry, this is zooming in. Or I can put here Alt, or this way, if you want to see more details, more audio files, yeah. So you can always choose this. Same here, I can see maybe more details, like in terms of video, if I have sequences, I can see also like different images, what it starts. So, but then I move it down, I don't care about that, it's small. And you can press always Alt to scroll in and inside, so zoom in, zoom out, you can see also the times are changing the zoom factor. Sometimes it's necessary to see the details. Okay, so this is already I put the video here inside. Let me turn off the audio. So this is the video inside. This is how OMA is doing, for example. You don't need to do it, okay? This is just a nice animation. You can do this later, practicing for yourself, like how we do that, right? So it's like all comprehensive. It's good to have these skills, just in case you work somewhere, and it's nice to have it. It's actually good work, yeah? It also pays very well, because not everyone can do it. It pays very well, actually, these things, yeah? So it's kind of very nice, the explanation. So of course it looks great for when you talk with clients, other things. So it's good promotional videos, because when they have projects like that takes 3-4 years, they have exhibitions, right? Other things, they want someone to do that, to promote to the public. And of course architects are the best to do it, because they understand and they can do it. Usually architects are doing this anyway in here. And they have like experience in different backgrounds. Okay, so we have this part. Now, very important. This is one sequence. And you can see already, if I click on it, there is not much information, right? So sometimes you want to edit things, you want to cut this, you want to change the size, scale. So first of all, maybe if you edit, you will have different types of, wait a second. It's already finished. So let me maybe just take this sequence and cut it here. Okay, great. So if we use also cursor, I can move it like, see, by milliseconds to the left, to the right. That's Go back. That room is zoom in. Okay, finish and transition. Come on. No. Okay, this is the transition. And I just use like the crop tool here. This is the selector. This is the crop tool, razor tool. C on the keyboard, right? P, and now I can say here, cut here the sequence. I cut the sequence now. Now I can move it. For example, if you have sometimes you want transitions, you want to insert something. Hello, Professor Kwan? Yes. Yeah, I'm just right now just telling them a few things. If they have time, they can maybe prepare. Just saying. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I tell them. Yeah, but this is not like a requirement. It's just something extra. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Professor Korn is worrying that you have to do movie. So he tells you have to bring your own laptop. Yeah? So maybe later you kind of bring like an iPad or something, put all the videos on it and just put it there, and then Professor Kwon can watch it for him personally, okay? Anyway, so keep in mind, so you can cut things, so you can have many sequences from your export, yeah? So not just everything at once, you can export several different sequences, yeah? That's always good. And if you need to cut, you always use this razor tool. You can see you can cut them and delete them whichever way, so I can take this, delete this, no problem, right? Everything is great. Okay, so we have the sequence here, one thing. Now, this is, you can cut, especially like the beginnings as well. Let me cut this too. This is not important really fast. These explanations we want just directly to design. They kind of talk about the, yeah, they make a lot of transitions here. Too much. But yeah, that's a different production, you know, like for public in the end. And I can move it always to the left. No need, but can. Okay, we have this one, and it's running. Yeah, that's the case. Spacebar is running. Yeah, so you can see the preview here. Also, when your computer is slow, you can change the preview to make more less, like a quarter, 25% quality only. Yeah, so it's kind of differently. Or you can do full quality. If you want to have a full screen, because you want, if you have two computers, two screens, this will automatically go on a separate screen, so you can work separate. You can see already what's happening there on the screen, which is nice. Or if you want to see on a full screen, you just press Control and Tab. No, sorry, Control at the hyphen. There you go. I make the full screen, and I have it also here this way. Yeah, to select the full screen, and I can press back. Okay, no problem. Likewise here, I can do the same thing. Full screen, much bigger, so I can see more sections. So this button, yeah, below, for example. I don't remember where it is in this case. Okay, and you can see also when I change the quality and I press here, now it's much higher quality, right? If I do 1/4, so it's different. So again, depends on the file sizes. It's very important. So I use both actually. Usually I use the 1/4 because the file sizes are bigger. There is more effects in it. So okay, this is the case. Now, if you want to, for example, change something about this type, this thing. Yeah, so right now it's running there is some nice effects, whatever, doesn't matter, but maybe it's too big, and I want to maybe also overlap this on top of it, each other. So I move this down, I close it, I move it below. Now we have two images, or we have two sequences on top of each other, but I want to make one smaller. Maybe we want to add some effects to it. So we want to see the specifications, and we go to effect controls. Effect controls, you can see a lot of information, like motion, scale, rotation of the images, opacity, it's like similar things like in Photoshop, for example, other softwares, yeah? And if I say, for example, multiply, so you see I'm multiplying this sequence on top of this one. Yeah, just basically the same thing. Okay, now but it's too big, so let's change the scale. Let's make it only 50, there you go, 50%. If I want to move it to the right, let's move it to the right, pixel-wise. You know already, the size is 1920 by 1080 pixels, right? It always starts from the center. I can also double click and I can move it also like manually, but that's usually not good because you're going to always, you can't really properly do it. Okay, I put it there, give it a bit more, 25 scale, maybe let's make it 25% scale. And I put it up here, and that is 1620 by, let's say, by 180, let's say. No, it's not, maybe 200. Top left is 0.0, bottom right is 1920 by 1080. Okay, coordinates. Always, every screen is like that. 0, 0, 1920 by 1080. Every digital screen is like that. Okay, so this is the case. Now I can play this, of course, together. Let me make full screen. Yeah, it both works at the same time. Very easy, right? So maybe sometimes you say, I have this master plan, I'm running around, and you say, I want to blend in something smaller. Like you have those different zones. Okay, that's nice, right? Zone, and maybe the zone is some rotating or something you want to make to explain different. But again, remember, 2 minutes is very short. People don't have to spend and watch all of this, yeah? So I'm just saying like later. Okay, that's how it works, for example. So you have here all the specifications you need, even like additional effects, for example. That's one thing. Additionally, now, I use right now this format, editing. Additionally, maybe you want to make transitions, because right now it's like you see it kind of instantly disappears. When I play it, and like pop, disappears, right? There is no transition between that. So that's okay. Doesn't have to have many effects. No need, actually, don't overdo. It's always very simple. The footage is most important. So I can go to the effects. No, it's not the effects. Oh, there it is. Okay, it opens up here. Effects, and then we have like more information here. Usually, let's talk about effects, and here's like different things like editing the audio files, and then video effects. Lots of stuff happening here. No need to know really, but the same as Photoshop. We rather go to the transitions, and then we say dissolve, and I say, for example, let's make a cross dissolve, and I put it here at the end point. There you go. And now you can see when I play, it smoothly disappears. Okay, and so like you have also have like dip to black, put inside, and if I dip to black, so everything disappears black. Yeah, and then again returns, which is the same with white and other things. So the cross dissolve is the standard one, it's fine. If you want to make it slower, you can always select it and extend it. So it becomes like several seconds. Much slower disappear, yeah? Not necessary, but it's important to know this particular. Now, this is one case. This is one case. So again, remember the footage is the most important. The rest is just putting the next thing together, like a storyboard. Now let's say we want to put here some text inside. Let me. Okay, there it is. Somewhere. The sequence is somewhere here. They always make these transitions, so you don't need to do that. That's actually too much. I'll delete that. Oh no, sorry. Let's keep it more. Keep it more because there is footage. Okay, so we have two sequences. One is here, one is here. Okay, there you go. So that kind of runs. That was not good, of course. Let's bring it back maybe. Effect controls. Let's bring it back 100%. Oh, sorry. You can always copy these things. I just take this copy, Control C, and then put it inside, Control V, and I have the same sequence settings. Easy. So I have this one. So you see there is like not a good transition, so it becomes black, and this one, so that's not good. So if you want to, you just select cross dissolve and you put it back. You see, it makes a beautiful transition between those both sequences. Sorry, what? It's the same. Oh, we have the same maybe. Sorry. Then let's delete that a little. Let's make it like this. Okay. A sequence. Let's move it, and then you see there will be like a transition between those two sequences. They blend with each other. So you can always, like, if you have maybe you want to have a nicer transition between two different sequences to blend them easier. So you just put the sequences next to each other and you just use a cross dissolve and put on top of it. That's what it is. Yeah. Can be also much slower. So the software will calibrate it, like kind of extends them or correct them. So this is the way to do it. Maybe you think your pictures are not bright enough, maybe, or not dark enough, because maybe the exporting is too sharp, maybe the screen doesn't work like you think it should. Then you can go to video effects, here the same, and then go to channels, no, I don't know, remember what it is, so you say levels. Then we have levels here, for example. I put it inside the effect, and then it appears here below, also in my effects tab. And then we have like different colors. I can make it brighter, yeah, 255 is like the 8-bit, or darker, very dark. So you can make such things, for example, easier, yeah? That's usually important when it's too, maybe you don't have enough contrast in your rendering, so you want to have it add more shadows or something, so you just specify this simple thing. I don't need this here right now, let's remove that. Additionally, if you do things, so maybe what is useful, I just save like a master plan here. So you can see I have the file, and I just also put the file here, and I have this image file. For example, it's too big because I didn't save it as a large scale as I wanted there. So I just put it back to maybe, I don't know, 25, or maybe 30, that's okay. This way, yeah? That's the file. Wait a second, I need to go to the restroom. So, hey, sorry. I need to go to the restroom. Okay, so what is this here? So this is the master plan, right? So it's very large. You can also include such a thing as a first thing, maybe as a starting point, just to show. That's fine. I think it's maybe better to put it above, maybe like this. Yeah, like this is right now on top of it, on top of the video. For our video at least, or for your video. And it's of course too big, so let's maybe rotate it 90 degrees. There you go, maybe it's still too big, so I scale it down a little bit. Maybe like, no, 7 is okay. I put it to the right. There you go. That's how it looks like. Yeah, it's a bit bright. Could be also changed if you want, but if you have a bigger screen, you can see it. So you can't read this necessarily, but maybe it's a map. So imagine your video is running here, and then there is like a red cursor, and that moves out, and it kind of shows you where you are, like a map, like a street view. That's maybe useful, maybe if it's too big. So it's also nice. Or maybe it can be bottom, here on the bottom in this case, but then you don't have much space. So again, it's not necessary, but you can always organize it this way. So if you want to add more information so people understand where are you. But if it's very simple, it's okay, yeah? Now, this is the case, so that's kind of quite nice. Let me make it maybe longer. You can always extend the sequences, you see, right? Because those are like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, so if you press here, you can always extend your sequence as much as you want, right? So basically now it's, how long is it now? Don't have information here. No, too much. Oh, 5. What? 5 seconds? 5 seconds? No, that was not that. Anyway, so I don't. What is the sequence? No. Where the information? No, I'm not there. So, anyway, we have this piece on the bottom right, on the top right. Lift this up a bit. Okay, a little bit of some sequences. Okay. So we have this on the top right. I will turn this off right now, just for the sake of it, so we want to see it clean, so we don't need to use it. We have the black screen. And before I use the black screen, maybe I use a legacy title. So I go again to new, or open up here, or maybe right mouse click here, the same, new item, and then I just use a ColorMate. ColorMate shows me these options, like again the settings of the screen. I can change it, of course, and I can choose the color. Now I use white. Okay, ColorMate white. I put it here inside. There you go. Now I have a white background. Like a white screen. Because usually sometimes maybe it's not just about the movie production, but you want maybe have a nice white screen, and it's nicely blending with the whole area. So it depends. So I use it right now this way. And let's start maybe put like a little red dot. So I show you like how to do maybe movement. You have here a couple of options, like for example here drawing types like circles, other things. Usually you can also put just a little image inside, arrows, whatever you can put inside, like I said, JPEG or PNG file. But I will do now here, so I make a little circle like this, and you can see I have here additional options. So open up, I can say, okay, let's make it red, and no stroke, no shadow. I close it, that's it. Yeah. And then I push it all the way through the whole thing, and now let's move it. motion, let's move it to the right. Let's say you go from the top. It's a bit too big maybe, but it's okay, I'm going to do it right. Okay. So I move it now, right now to the top here, and I want that this circle is moving all the way up here, for example. You cannot do this like with the cursor really, but you have to select the sequence that you have here in this case. And you can see there's also a timeline, and there is also the position. So what we need to change is the position. Let me do it. Too much. So I'm here in the position, let's go down. So what I want to do is changing the Y coordinate, just to go down, and maybe at some point change directions a little bit, go down again, right? So how do we do this? There is like a little clock here, you can see. You can turn on the clock, so that's time-based. Now when I use the clock, I connect the sequence from here to here. I can change different settings. So according to this, if I click on it, you see, it's matched. So if I now move this, for example, it will change accordingly at different sequences where I want to have it. So I need to select now, okay, it takes maybe like only 5 seconds, no, let's say maybe 5 seconds to here in this case, and I want at 5 seconds that this cursor is there. So now I'm moving down, new coordinate at this point. Next one, I move further a little bit, and it should be going this way. So let's move the cursor again like this, and I move it down a little bit. Let's go a little bit left. Okay. All right, and then let's move down again, much slower, all the way. I push the arrow keys to the end, and no, that was too little. And then I move it all the way down. Okay, we are here now. And that's it. Let's go back. Let's play. There you go. That's how it works, right? So you can kind of walk around, and it's like your animation is on the left side, right? Running around, and you just kind of see this connecting nicely because it's nicely set it up. Okay, that's nice to see, right? You know exactly where you are. Quite simple. Quite useful. Again, remember that the screen is limited, right? But you see, like we have a big screen there, right? It's nice, big screen. You can put it inside. People can see this. It's a 4K screen, I think. So it's a 4K video. It's great to see this. You can put like legends, other things, timelines on the bottom, whatever you want, right? Like importing everything. So it's a beautiful video. And of course, we can continue like going back here and other ways, whichever way you want. Yeah. So, but that's like when you make animations, you want to movable parts here. Of course, you select the sequence you want, and then you have here the clock. That's it. And then you set up like wherever it is in the sequence, you can move it in this case. If you don't want to have it anymore, you say this is all wrong, just click on it again. And then you say, okay, it's continue. And then of course, it's all gone. Yeah, just turn it off. Let's put it back again. Control Z, okay, we have it here nicely. So that's kind of quite simple. And of course, it can work very well if you have an animation behind it and it's moving and you see these parts, it's kind of quite great. So you kind of don't lose track. Yeah, again, not necessary, but it looks good in a sense. Yeah, so, but then again, it depends, of course, on the type of master plan. So here's a lot of information. So maybe if you do something like this, you would like to turn off everything that is not necessary because you can't read that anyway. So maybe it's just like the buildings, maybe it can be just black or something, or maybe it's just very white and just very reduced maybe, yeah? That's a graphic style, but it's okay, you have nice master plans, so you can always put them inside. And I already put like the white space behind it. Wait a second, I put the white space behind it because I feel like it's a little bit touching the edges, that can be possible. Or I can, sorry, this one, I can also change a bit the scale, so it's a bit smaller, no, maybe too much. 16. You can also change the scale in different directions. No? Yeah, you can. X and Y you can change. Yeah, you can also change the width and the height direction. So I made it a bit smaller, that is kind of more embedded into the white space here, nicer. So it's better actually, maybe, depends, of course. And then it's running also together. Right? So it's maybe much easier. Depends. But again, don't overdo, this is nothing important. It's more about the animation itself that you do. That's it. Okay, that's one thing. Second, if you, let's say, for example, you have like an animation is moving, and then you want to stop, you want to show like a nice high rendering, so you can stop, put the image inside, and you blend them together. You finish, okay, after 3 seconds, 4 seconds, you continue moving. Usually an image should be like 5 seconds inside. Less than 5 seconds, people don't have enough time to look at it. Yeah, it's like already standard here, if I import any image, it's always like 5 seconds long. There you go, it's 5 seconds, yeah, on the bottom it says. That's like the amount of time it takes to look at it. Because if you use transitions, left and right, for example, if you use transitional effects, if you put like cross this off in the beginning and cross this off on the end, then it becomes just 4 seconds, because it takes about 30 seconds for one side. Then it's only 4 seconds left that you can actually read. Too little time to actually look at it, but again, don't make it too short. But if you want to make transitions sometimes between the master plan and other images, you put them next to each other and they just come and go. Or maybe with the video sequences, possibilities, yeah? Because maybe you want to stop sometimes and to look at things carefully, not just driving around. Okay, so this is the case, this is the video. For example, there is of course much more that you can do. Now, the question is, how do we export this thing, right? How do we put it on, how do we put everything into one video file? So, we have here already like a, what is it called? Wait a second. I don't remember what's the name of it. It's like a bar that you can select, the duration bar, and I see it's kind of locking inside. This is what you export, the sequence. If I put it here, it will only export this part, what is visible. Yeah? And not everything, only this part. So I just select only this part here in this case, so I want to export that. It's about 34 seconds, and then when we export, we go to File, Export, Media. Very important. It's not like just say you have to export, random, media. Now we get another options, a lot of options here. Actually, that's the output window. You can see also the length of the sequence. You can check where it is, what is happening. Okay, working here, it doesn't matter. This is where you save it, name, for example. Let me put this maybe into there. Okay, and we do master plan is okay. Let me delete that. I say okay, save here. That's the file name in this case. Now, important things. There is a lot of things like effects, video, audio, VooCoder is like an additional thing. You don't need that. That's mine. That's what I'm using. But here you have a lot of options now. That's very important. These are like the different types of files. You have like JPEG, PNGs. Yeah. Same here with videos. We have different types of files and encoders. So PNG, for example, is a different encoding. Like JPEG is a different encoding, different compressions. Yeah. JPEG will have pixels. PNG will be always sharp. That's the best format that you can choose. Always for images, for graphics especially. Now, when we do videos, standard is H264. That's everywhere. Video and other YouTube, everything is using 264. That's the compression file. Everything you like watching YouTube is 264. There is another one which is today, of course, it's already a couple of years, 265. Where am I? 265. I don't have 265. There should be someone. Well, I don't have 265. Strange. Anyway, choose 264, H264. That's the very important encoder because it has to do with bitrate. So you always like when you upload things on YouTube, it has to be H264. I think they already now accept like 265, but like for example Netflix, it runs always on H265. Very high compression, low quality file sizes. Maybe that's why you can stream very fast, nice good quality, but because it's higher compression means your computer has to work more. Your CPU has to work more to encode it back, the image, to bring it back. 264, the file size is a bit larger, but it's okay for older computers, yeah? But nowadays everything is pretty much 265, but 264 is the standard, so use that please always. Now, second thing is presets. Lots of things here. Again, those are about bit rates, medium bit rate, adaptive bit rate, other things, or match the source. This is what you originally is exported. And there is like high quality, 1080, high quality, and so on. Some other parts have like even like, do we have here like, no, it doesn't have here, okay. Sometimes there's like a YouTube thing or Vimeo thing. Vimeo is like a different option, so maybe you choose like, you know, maybe Adobe Premiere in 2024 or something, so you have other options, yeah? Most important to know is when you export videos, it's about the bit rate. That's very important information for any video work. And I can say high bit rate. And let's do high bit rate, doesn't matter really because I have to do both by myself. Then you have export video and audio, so it doesn't make much difference, doesn't matter in this case. Now this is very important, the bit rate. The bit rate represents the quality of the image in the end. What is the compression of one image per frame? So for example, a Blu-ray, high quality, will have a bitrate of 32 megabit. And YouTube video, 1080p, 60 frames per second, will have a maximum bitrate of 12 megabit. Everything above will be deleted. If you have a very high motion, super fast, a lot of small lines, graphic especially, then the bitrate must be about like at least 40 megabit. So YouTube will cut it down, the compression, and then you're going to only see blurry stuff. It's very bad quality. Yeah, so there is a limit. Platforms have a limit, of course, because if the files become too big, you cannot really transfer the files to your computer in here. So bitrate is extremely important when you work on such things. So of course, you want to have a higher quality, yeah? But the standard is like for any video that you do is like maybe 20 megabit should be the maximum enough. If it's not enough, that means something is wrong with your video files. When you do like Netflix or other things, you have MKV files, H265, the compression, then usually the bitrate will be like 12 megabit, for example, or even goes down to 5, but because it's a low frame rate, just only 24 frames per second, because videos, that's what they do, movies, so they don't need that higher bitrate. When you upload things on different platforms like Vimeo and YouTube, Vimeo is the professional ones, they have different bit rates. They give you different bit rates. So if you pay extra money, you get more bit rate, more quality. Yeah, that's the bit rate basically. So when you upload 1080p 30 frames per second, the bit rate max is I think 8 megabit only. That's what they allow, because that's the compression they can go. Whereas when you go 1080p 60 frames per second, you can go up to 12 megabit. So you get 4 megabit more. That's a huge increase in terms of quality. That's why you should always do, like when you do graphics, 1080p, 60 frames per second. When you go to 4K, it's even much larger. You have more bit rates. Now, where do we see the bit rates? There are like specifications output. You can see already. This is what we set up before: 1090/20 by 1080. One is the pixel aspect ratio, 60 frames per second. Progressive, doesn't matter. Hardware quality, okay. VBR, one pass, these things, and then target is 10 megabits per frame. This is the bit rate. We can change this, of course. You should change this just in case. We do this in the video. You can say match source. Same also when you export videos in your software, you should also specify the bitrate. There must be some option to how to specify what is the bitrate. If not, then maybe it does ultimately the highest point, yeah, highest possible. And when you export, also choose H264. Because when you export, also probably there is an option. What is the format you export? Is it AVI, MP, like you can see also here. Is it MPI, MPEG-4? You have to always select H264 when you export already from your video, from Vimeo or wherever. Yeah, there must be some option. Okay, so that's what we do. Now let's see a video. Let's go down, and you can see already there's like options. We don't change this because we already set up before. You can always change it. Of course, you can change things. Maybe you say you're not happy with 60 frames, so change it to 30. It doesn't matter. We keep it as it is. Yeah, standard. Let's go down. Render at maximum depth is important because like that's the final one that kind of calculates more slower, but the quality is higher, so it kind of takes more time to encode and it's much precise. Yeah, so it's not that fast. So that's good to have it. I turn it off right now, and we go down. Encoding setups settings is the hardware or software. Let's change maybe to software for me. This is those are like the profiles levels for encoding means like 4.2. Let's check maybe what is the options. Main, baseline, no, there's no baseline, high. Okay, main is, okay, why can I change this? I can change now, okay. You don't need to know this right now, but it's maybe good to know if you see this. So first of all, like, there's options like how to do it. So main is probably like the standard, high and high 10. High 10 is like HDR, when you have TVs, HDR 10 TVs. The colors are very nice, vivid. Or you have like OLED screens with HDR, new OLED screens these days. With HDR, so you have like crystal clear colors, sharp, everything is amazing, for movies especially, yeah? Even for working. More like hyper realistic. You see like sometimes movies on screens that look like so real. Yeah, like more better than reality because they have HDR10. There's like a different color codes in this case. And it takes a lot of more recording, more encoding. So, but we don't need this, so we keep it main. The second part is the levels. The levels means encoding. That's a standard. Standard should be 4.2. Everything below is like 2010 and less. Okay. So 4.2 is the base. If you go higher than that, 5.2 even nowadays more than 6. That's kind of it. Basically adds more information inside your video and kind of keeps more quality inside for the image quality. You don't need this for this animation, so 4.2 is totally enough. Sometimes when people use too high, and they have older computers, or they don't have the right video players, it doesn't work. Yeah, so for example, maybe you have a projector. We have a projector, and maybe you put a USB stick inside with your video file, and it doesn't work. It worked on your computer, but it doesn't work on a projector. It's like, why not? Because it's most likely that this is wrong. That you maybe selected something that's maybe like 5 or 5.2, but the projector only allows for 4.2 compression. Yeah, and then there's a problem, of course. Then it doesn't work. I had it many times, or use maybe like a TV screen, somewhere we have TV screen, put a thumb drive inside, but it doesn't work. Why? Because the encoding was not set up for that TV. Yeah, doesn't reach the limit. So standard-wise 4.2. If you have some other options there, change it maybe to 4.2 because it might not work. Yeah, whatever reason. But we just keep it standard. Okay, we just keep it as it is. Let's move down a little bit. Scrolling down, there's other things. I don't know. Okay, now main thing here. Bitrate settings. If you select some custom thing, no problem. Yeah, but bitrate settings are important. Then we have here like CBR and VBR, 1 pass, 2 pass. Lots of technical things, yes, but extremely important. People always make everything wrong when they do select the wrong things. So CBR means constant bitrate. So let me show, you can see this sometimes in images, some of them, but let me show this maybe as a graphic. So constant bitrate, so let's say this is the video, this is the bitrate. What is it, BTR? BTR. So BTR, and this is the time, T, right? So now in the bitrate, for example, constant means you set up 10 megabit, it always will be 10 megabit, continuously. That means even you have a black screen, it's still 10 megabit. But but the black screen needs only maybe 1 bit only, or 8 bit, right? So that means you artificially increase the file size. Instead of having only maybe 100 megabyte, you have suddenly 1 gigabyte, just for no reason. Like YouTube, everything online has a variable bitrate, VBR. Yeah? That usually always they use VBR. They count it. Even you upload different type of encoding with different type of bitrate settings, they always put it back to VBR. VBR means the bitrate can go up, down, even beyond the target, or up and down, maybe like this. Depending on the information on the image, the amount of colors, it always either increases it or goes low. So it calculates much more. Yeah? And that's a kind of very useful if you want to have the file sizes small, very small. Yeah? Usually, as a professional, when people work professional and they share file sizes, for example, in the work projects, they always use the VBR, the variable bitrate, because there's a lower quality, and it's not good for further editing afterwards. So they share these files, even change this resolution because you don't want that they copy it or use already without paying. However, when you do it professionally, export, sharing files with each other, you use always a CBR, constant bitrate, because you have always the maximum quality. Yeah, that means you can keep working with the files. Whereas when it's compressed already, it's very bad. Yeah, so you can have less quality. But for you, you can just use CBR or VBR, doesn't matter. 1 pass, 2 pass means the CPU or the computer will calculate once. When it calculates on 1 frame, it says, okay, I calculate only once. If you make 2 passes, it's gonna calculate double time, 2 times. So that means it increases the calculations 2 times. That means if it calculates twice, it increases the quality. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense because then you have maybe more information, so make sure that you have actually better compression, but with the highest amount of information inside. So, but we can use just CBR is fine, if no problem. And you can see there is a target bitrate. So we said already 10 megabit is like for this case, that will be like YouTube. Usually it's better just to go maybe like 20 megabit. Yeah, that's okay. Or you can test it by yourself, like you can select like smaller sequences, you can say how does it look like. That's the target bitrate, so it's always constantly. If you do maybe variable bitrates, like for export, let's say 2 pass, like the final one you want, usually also this is much faster, very quick, zack, yeah? Whereas like the VBR, variable bitrate, 2 pass, it takes more time, yeah? So you don't, for testing is not good. But you can see here, we can say target bitrate, we say we want to have like 12 bitrate, but it can go up to 20, much higher, beyond the line. Yeah, it can go much higher. When it's necessary, it can go even peaks. Otherwise, it can be either this or maybe a bit lower, but it's the target, more or less. So that's kind of we'll calculate for that case. And those are the bit rates, and that's it basically. Yeah, the rest is not necessary. Audio we don't need. That's always like standard size, AAC codec format, multiplex, anything. Doesn't matter. Captions we don't have. Effects we also don't have, right? So it's just video. We don't need to care about anything else. So this is the case. Now, if you want a higher quality, so you can say render at maximum depth, and here also use maximum render quality. That's like the top notch, like the final export you do. Increase the quality time of the amount of rendering. I will skip it right now, skip it here, and change it maybe to CBR so we can see it quickly. This is the case, right? 12 megabit, and now let's export or create. Create means it goes to Adobe Media Player. So just do an export, you just say create, put it inside the task list. It opens up a new software, and then you can say, okay, please encode in the background. Yeah, or we have many different videos down there. So it kind of puts in another list. But I will just do here export, and that's it. Now I cannot do anything with Premiere in this case. But if I use an encoder, then I can keep working on this file. Yeah. So it's now encoding, 4 minutes, long time. Maybe too long. Wait a second, let me scale it down a bit. Can I do this here? Yeah, no problem. You shouldn't do this here because it's not very precise. Export again. Yes, please, override. There you go. Jot. Yeah, you should do this like on the main window there to select where the sequences. And now it's exporting for a couple of seconds. If I don't have my power bank, so power charger, so it's gonna be faster. But yeah. Yeah, so those are our settings here again, very important settings. Every video has to have this. Very, very important. Extremely. So the video editing is very simple usually. You know, people have a lot of fun making these things. But the biggest problem is that when they export, the quality of the video is really bad. They edit, everything is nice, but then when they export the file, it looks always terrible. And that has to do always with the settings. And people have always a lot of trouble to understand this. The bitrate and mainly the bitrate and how they export it, whether they use a VBR or CBR. There you go, we have it already there. Let's go back to my folder. And where is it? Master plan. There you go. It's just 8 megabyte. Let's check properties, details, and we can see also here in the details. So this is the size of it, the resolution, the bitrate, total bitrate. So we just set standard, right? Fixed. If you would have a VBR, there would be like difference up and down, more or less the numbers. Frame rate. Then the audio doesn't matter for us really. And yeah, that's it basically. Yeah? So this is what it is. There you go. That's the video now. So the compression looks a bit weird. The compression looks small right now, not because my settings are wrong. It's just because the file size, this file size, is already scaled down. No, sorry. This file size has a low quality already. You can see here the bands here, right? So the quality of the file size is already bad, or the quality of the original image is already bad. Yeah, that's why it looks so pixelated. But if you have a good quality export, it's going to be very nice and crystal sharp. Yeah. So those are the settings. Very, very important. Do you have any questions, maybe? Anything unclear? No. So let me repeat quickly before I say like how to make a story quickly. Okay, like simple things. So one more time, just very quickly. If you set up things, so first you go here and you make a new project, okay? New project, that's it. You select the name and you say first, okay, done. Then you open up a new screen. Then you need a new sequence here for that, for yourself, where you work with. And you go to items, sequence, and you specify. You can use presets, but the presets are always specific to the type of hardware, the recording part that you used before. So we usually use here some standard, and you can see already there are these parts. So let's go custom, set up the size that you want. You can of course later edit it as well. There are settings, 1080p, pixel is 1, lower first, no progression, 60, no, sorry. No, this is the frames, sorry, 60 frames per second, yeah. And this one you can use select later, and then you can name it also. I put it sequence 2, that's our case. Then you put the video files inside, whether you do it from here or you just instantly drop it inside there. Does this work? Yeah, there you go. Or I just put it here. If it asks something like this, means the video file and the settings have different resolutions, different sizes. Or there are some. So I keep maybe the existing settings, I put it inside, there it is, there's another video file. And that's the video. So here you can see this video is like 720p, so 1020 1280 pixels by 720 pixels, so it's only HD. Full HD is the black part, yeah, 1980. But you can always scale up, but it's never good really because it's just too, yeah, it's just low resolution. It's some project, okay. And then we have it, you can kind of edit it, yeah, that's it. You can of course increase this, you can increase the speed, you can decrease the speed, but for us it's not important. If you want to decrease speed duration, put inside 200%, so it's gonna be faster. Goes up much faster. Yeah, you can see movement. I can even make it here with this parts. Where's the break sketch? I can even increase here the fastness, much faster. And even manually, I can make it very slow. Very slow. But because like this doing, because there is not enough frames in between, so it's kind of empty. So you can start the next one. There's nothing there. So you can always do that with that. There's many options of course, but it's all irrelevant to you. Last thing, maybe I forgot. You can close this here. Last thing I forgot, you want titles maybe, right? Your name on it. So let's put here title. Again, don't try to make too much stuff. Don't try to be fancy. Just simplicity. You can put title on top of it, let's say, but then maybe you lose the image already. There are two ways. You can go again to add here like a title, legacy title. So it opens up again this thing, intro, and then you have here like this separate screen. You can see this part, and you can put your text inside, okay. Urban planning, for example, and I changed the font types here, family, scenario, mode, put in the center, just like any editing software, yeah. So it's like this, close it, and I just put the type on top of it. There you go. And if I want to, I double click again, and I keep editing. I can add more things inside. Text, everything else, yeah? Not image, only text. So this is more like the title, for example. And I overlap this, of course, yeah? No problem. And this, I guess, that's it. Yeah? So you can put like the name of the project, or your name also at the end as well, like credits, because usually have like any project, like for example here you see there is like some, there's like we see credits also, who did that, film, blah 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 blah. Yeah, for example, you can just put the name on it. Just a blank screen is sometimes enough, because once you have text and image, people cannot do both. You either look at the image or you look at the text, okay? So you cannot read both. So usually best way is just start with a blank screen. There you go. Put here screen, and then I just start. Okay, urban planning. And let's go. That's it. Yeah. Or if you want a transition, then you put it down here and make a transition, video transition, cross dissolve. Zoom in. Okay, there you go. So we're going like this. There you go. Right. What's happening? Because there is a white space. Got it. So let's turn off this. There you go. Yeah. So it blends next to each other. No problem. Or you can make it even more fancier. Let's make it like this. So we have this part, it's a bit black. That's one way to put text, of course, inside. Let's make it small. Let's put it in the middle, center. And maybe let me make it bigger. Make it bigger. I don't like this setup. Let's make it font size bigger. Urban planning. Okay. Alright, so this is one way, and now if I make this maybe fill. No, this is the text filling. Background, where is background? There you go, background black. Okay, so we have the background is black, like this, and then it becomes suddenly white. So now we can say maybe the transition is better, cleaner. And it becomes from black to white, or we can also use here blend modes, multiply, so it kind of multiplies what is in the background already. And so it kind of multiplies, the black will be black, white will be multiplied. So white on top of it, it's kind of differences, yeah? So we can change it maybe here, let's check. So you can see also, it's kind of something like this. Very simple. Just using black and white, and kind of just like masking, also in Photoshop. Very easy to do. Sometimes also good, so I can even like put this one here maybe, or here, like a nice transition that will make it maybe even bigger because it's too small. Like this is disappeared, so because like Illustrator, sorry, bigger, maybe blur it out. Usually, like such things, you can also do better. Like you just make images for that. Again, depends. I don't really like this layer. Or maybe both. Urban. There you go. Like a simple thing. Keyword. What is it? Yeah, like keyword. Put inside, for example. That's very simple to do. Again, not overdoing it because too much. It's not about like special effects. It's just information, right? So you want to use it strategically. But they're like very simple ways. Just using a black background, white text, multiply. Same in Photoshop you work, right? You have blend modes, multiply. Same things work exactly the same. Or Illustrator or whatever it is. InDesign, anything works the same way. Any software like this. So that kind of it can be quite cool as well, right? So if you want to make a transition or something like that specifically. Otherwise, keep it simple, just simple, simplicity. Yeah. There is another way of text. So you have the title here. Another text is here also, of course. You can do the same thing, but with this case, and you just literally just draw the text on top of it. Same here. I can make urban, yeah, and then I have to select here everything in the effects. What are the font types? I'm showing you this because Arial black size. I'm showing you this because this option takes a bit more time to make, but it's it's the same basically. But it's like sometimes you want just to add like a text maybe here inside or something, right? Kind of appears and disappears, so it's like a separate thing. Title is title, so it's like in the beginning. But it's a bit more difficult to move it. So for example, you see it snaps to the middle part. If I press the control key and I move it, so it kind of snaps there and then also here in the middle as well, yeah? So that's also okay, but it doesn't have a background really in this case. So you have only like the appearances. You can add shadows, usually like strokes, for example. I can add like I can say maybe the text is black and I use a white stroke around it with the thickness of maybe like a couple of pixels. So kind of separate it from the background. Or maybe it should be the other way around. For example, it can be white text and black. It's like, okay, not more emphasizing, yeah? So like this, or even shadows, other things you can put inside. So shadow black and size. There you go. Nice shadows also. Okay too, yeah? You can turn on. There you go. Maybe it's nice and cleaner as well. It can be also like a nice effect too. Also nice three dimensions on kind of lift off from the screen. Yeah, for example, very easy to do. So there are many options, and usually when you export this option here, you might have problems when you export things. So when you use the title, legacy title here, this case, like when you do my right mouse click and you say new item and then offline title. Where's title? Okay, legacy title, yeah. It's good, but sometimes it can be a problem because it doesn't become called sharp when you export the video. That's a problem, and that has to do with the encoding, maybe with the images, everything. So I have many times problems with that sometimes. But the safest solution, if there is anything unclear, not sharp, the text, then this is the best way. This will be always sharp, always crystal sharp. Whereas like the legacy title can have problems, issues. So if you encounter issues and you're not happy with the text, the quality of the text that comes out, then use rather this option. That's okay too. Yeah? For example, this text. There's of course more vertical type, you can write vertically. So So that's it basically. And then again, yeah, you export these things and it looks amazing. Same you can do also again here. What's that behind it? Oh, there's different images. Yeah? Okay. That's it basically. Any questions? No? So keep in mind, this is very simple, okay? Very simple, new project, and then when you export afterwards, again, very important part of export, choose the H264 encoder, very important standard thing. Choose the custom. You can also select anything of that. Let's see maybe what it is, maybe high bitrate, adaptive you already see it's gonna be VBR. Let's use high bitrate, it's gonna be like match source. So let's check always what it is inside. We go down there, hardware encoder, we don't care. This one, okay, okay. Now we have VBR1 and it's 10 megabit the target. Okay, fine. Yeah. So you can test it whether it's good enough or not. Depends how much colors you have, depends how much movement you have, how fast you move. That means you have to increase the bitrate. Yeah? Very important. Okay? Any questions? No? Last thing, sorry, just one more second. What happens is when you export, you will see maybe your file size becomes extremely large. If you have a 2 minutes video, 1920 by 1080 with 60 frames per second, it should be like maybe 100 to 200 megabyte maximum. Like that's like ridiculous. If it's higher, like 1 gigabyte, you have a problem. Something is wrong with your settings. The bitrate is too high or something else, so you have to kind of scale it down and export again. That's one thing. Additionally, you can also download a free software. It's called Handbrake. It's called Handbrake. It's a French thing, but it's pretty useful. Every video you should always have this. It's free software, but it's for encoding, so you can re-encode the videos to make them compress smaller file sizes. I usually do this when I have like some videos that are like copied from phones when it's like 2 gigabyte, but if I compress it and I have a same quality, but maybe the file size becomes only 200 megabyte, so 1/10 of it. And that's a very good way to do it. So for example, I use this file now that we had before. Let's say this one, our master plan, I put inside, or you can open videos, that's it. And there is again, this is already the video. Dimensions, we already know it, so I can select this, keep 1080p, that's fine. None changing, everything is the same. Video, and here we have again the codec, frame rate, that's always the same, constant frame rate. So that means also frame rates can be faster, slower, depends on the images. So you have a lot of movement, so you increase the frame rate. When it's like less movement or still images, then the frame rate becomes much slower. So it means you save storage space. But we don't care this, so I keep it usually constant frame rate because that's the quality, and the quality here is 24 is standard. You can read about this here. Small things, the higher you go, the less quality you have, the lower you go, 0 is uncompressed. The file size maybe is like 30 gigabyte, 100 gigabyte. Like usually when movie productions happen, they have like super fast cameras and super fast storage. So when they record it like in 8K, and they have like maybe 100 terabyte of storage inside. So like maybe one sequence, 1 minute is maybe for them like 10 gigabyte of file size. Like uncompressed, like highest quality, and then go into computers and they start to edit this and then compressing afterwards, yeah? So this is very bad, of course, 0 for us, but if I compress it, depends on how much motion I have. It's like either between 18 to 24. 24 is okay. If you want a bit higher quality for your images, so you can always, if the file size is big, you use this, that's it, and then you say, fine, start encode or add to Creo, and there's the Creo, and they just say, okay, let's do it. Now I have MTV. MTV is not good. That's not, I don't want this because that means to a H265. So what did I select? Well, go back. 1080p, video H264. I don't want that. That's great. That's good. Remember. And then also the encoder level, right? 5.3 is standard now these days. Start encoding. There it is. It's going. Yeah, so that shows everything. Important thing to have. There's like the one very important, because usually the file size is too big and I don't know what to do, how to scale it. Because you export in Premiere, but it doesn't go down, it takes too much time, everything, right? All the effort. So you usually go in another software like this, and it's finished, done. Yeah? Let's do destination project. There you go. So now it's 1.17 megabyte. only. Before was 8 megabytes. That's a compression of like 28, 7 times maybe. I don't know whether it's good. It should be the same. Yeah, there you go. So there's not much quality because of the original, but you see, I reduced the file size from 8 to almost 2. That's a big difference, huge difference, of course. Yeah, so if you have it, download the Handbrake. It's free. It's very useful, super useful. Okay. Anyway, if you have no questions, keep in mind when you make your projects. When you make your projects and you make the master plan, well, one more time, master plan. So when you make, for example, your master plan, let's say this one, okay? So when you make a video, keep in mind like a storyboard. So what is the first thing that you want to show? It's from large scale to small scale, right? And actually you don't want to have too much information. So maybe the first thing is flying. From right side or left side, you can kind of fly in your animation. Okay, go here. And then you say, okay, I'm going down in the animation. You say, cut. Next sequence. Put another sequence, maybe transition or something, doesn't matter. Just cut instantly. And then you maybe stand on the roadside from here. And then you just drive in your sequence. You just drive maybe around. Okay, fine. For example, right? That's it. That's all. Maybe later, maybe you say, okay, one more sequence. Here. I'm walking on the bridge towards this area. I'm walking through this area to the other side. Turn around, finish. That's it. And then name again. Okay? Simple thing. One from the top, flying, go on the street level. That's it. And then sometimes maybe you drive, and maybe you say, I want to stop here, turn around, and then I make a transition and say, okay, nice rendering, high quality rendering. I show it for 5 seconds, finish, okay, continue driving, for example. You can make such different sequences, yeah? If you want to emphasize different situations. Yeah? But like again, it's just only animation, not trying to make some fancy video. So again, from the top, you go inside and you drive. Maybe you don't need to go all the way on the road. Maybe some of you say, okay, my project is like this, so I'm flying around and I just walk around this area somewhere. No problem, right? So it doesn't have to be the road. Depends on the case. Like in your case is the catwalk, right? So maybe you just walk this way. You fly and then just walk through this area. For example, you go on the other side, turn around here, okay, finish. That's it. Remember, it's a very long area, 1.4 kilometer. 2 minutes is a very short time if you have to go twice. If you're too fast, you're just literally racing. You can't see anything, right? So you have to kind of find a middle ground for how much you want to show. You don't want to be too fast. You cannot see anything. And we don't want to have a 5-minute video because it's boring in here. So 2 minutes is enough maximum, about that, plus minus, okay? So keep in mind, one overall view and then on the street view. And if you want to emphasize certain things, some of you maybe want to have, like I said, flying around, go through the area maybe, and then maybe another sequence, like emphasizing, yeah? So I mean, like in your plans, you show the big picture, and then you go to the master plan maybe, some other areas, zones, and then you maybe show the detail, like something special. So you can also make it, if you have enough space there, yeah? Okay? All right, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, I suggest you can produce this while you work on your models. This is just a setup. You put it inside, right? Like exporting Lumion or whatever you use. Even black and white rendering is fine. Video rendering looks great. It can be very graphic. Looks amazing. You can always like blend in things like a nice rendering. It doesn't have to be like hyper realistic everything. It's about the space, the sequence of spaces that you encounter. And then if you need any help, you can show me on Monday, for example. Yeah, if there is any problems with editing or you want to just play it, you can come with your laptop and we can just discuss it. Okay? Yes. Otherwise, keep